What's up, guys? Scott Lett here, owner of Iron City Power Washing. As some of you know, I'm in the process of moving because we just bought a new house and all of the work is done. All the painting, scraping ceilings, all those things are finished. And we do our actual move tomorrow. So, just a little fun fact for the day. If you ever move and you hire a moving company, they charge you based on time. Okay? So, if you want to save some money, pack up all the little things, because the little things are what add up during a move. It's not the big stuff. So, if you want to save some time, make a bunch of trips. I'm on my 7th trip of the day. It's Sunday. I need to be at church. I need to be with my family, but you know what? I need to be resting because we've been working a lot. Really all summer. It's been busy. But if you want to save some money with movers, they charge you based on time. Get all the little stuff out of the way. That way, when they show up, they're getting your beds, your dressers, your washer and dryer. You know, all the big things. And the big things don't take long. That'll save you some money. But obviously, that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to focus on today is probably something that's not talked about much or even at all. Okay? And you know my channel, like I don't just post wash videos. I post a lot about business, how to build business, how to market your business, how to manage your business, the highs and lows of business. And as you all know, I keep it real. All right. But today we're going to shift our focus from washing and we're going to talk about like personal things in our life. Okay. And that's the financial side of your business, which is directly connected to your financial life. Okay. You know, along with all the other fears of starting a business, mainly knowing if it's going to work or not, there's the other side of that, which is your personal finances, okay? So I feel like one of the biggest reasons people do not take the leap of faith into starting a business is because they've been at this corporation, you know, that has given them all the benefits that they do not have to manage, okay? Their retirement is taken care of, you know, the 401ks, the pension, all those things, your health insurance, your disability, all those things are just managed by the company you work for, and it's just taken out of your paycheck. And I think there's a big fear there that paralyzes a lot of people from taking that leap of faith because in their mind, you know, they have no concept of how to manage those things. And that is a big deal. I was at a very prestigious power company here, Alabama Power, and they have what you call the golden cuffs because their benefits are really good. And that's kind of how they trap you into staying there and not being able to leave. They have really good benefits, and that's why people work there. It's not really about the money. But I got to the point where I wasn't satisfied with where I was at in my career. I was kind of just stagnant. I was making $32 an hour, you know, had pension, health insurance, which, you know, that people are like, dude, that's great. Why are you complaining about that? Well, I wasn't being challenged. You know, I wanted to make more money. My wife doesn't work. She stays home. So here we are. So I started my own business. But along with that is, you know, me managing my own retirement, me managing, you know, my own health insurance, my disability, life insurance, all those things. And I will say, guys, it is doable. Okay. And you just have to do a little research. And I'm going to tell you guys how I have my life structured. And I'm going to explain to you, you know, why I have these certain accounts. Okay. Let's talk about retirement. Okay. There's, you know, most people focus on the 401ks. That's what most companies offer is a 401k package. But in my personal opinion, I love the Roth IRAs. So an IRA is an individual retirement account, and a Roth is just the name of the guy who created it. I think his name was William Roth. So there's really no significance there, but besides the guy who created this. I like Roth IRAs because you can put up to $7,000 a year into it, and it's directly tied to the market, and they usually average anywhere from 7 to 8% return. Okay, and that's including interest. I believe there's compounding interest. I think so. But I have a traditional IRA and I have a Roth IRA. And the Roth IRA, you pay taxes up front. That way, when you can get your money and not get penalized, when you're 59 and a half, you're not paying taxes on it. So I think the traditional Roth, you get taxed later, but it has the same financial concepts, being tied to the market, and the returns are good. So I have 2 retirement accounts that are for actually when I retire. Okay, and then I have a whole life policy. So let's talk about life insurance. Okay, so a term life insurance is strictly focused on the death benefit, meaning if you have a $1 million policy of life insurance and you were to pass away, your loved ones, your beneficiaries, your wife and kids would get $1 million. Okay, and there's no cash value involved, which I have a term policy. I recommend to anyone who has a family, like, what is going to happen to you when you pass away? How are you going to financially take care of your family? Because they're still your responsibility. So a term life insurance policy is the way to go. All right, because you can get like $1 million policy for like $30 a month, and that gives you the confidence that if you pass away, your family's going to get a lump sum of money from that company to take care of your family. I have one of those. Another type of life insurance policy is called a whole life policy. Okay, same concept. Besides it, this one builds cash value. Okay, the premiums are a little higher because you're trying to get a death benefit, plus you're trying to build cash value, and it's also tied to the market. There's compounding interest, but you get the death benefit and you get the benefit of building cash value. They are a little bit pricey, but I have 2 of those, and I've had them since 2019. And there's a significant amount of money in there that I can get to at any time. And I have all this with Northwestern Mutual, which is a great company. They pay dividends to their clients every year. That's when there's a surplus in their, in their revenue, and they pay it back to, their clients, their customers, their shareholders, whatever you want to call us. So I highly recommend Northwestern Mutual, which I think Northwestern Mutual is all over the country. So they also handle my disability insurance, meaning if I were to get, permanently disabled, if I fell off a roof and broke my legs or my back and I'm disabled, I can't work, I have a disability policy, that I pay into. And that goes up as I get older, right? Because I'm more of a liability as I get older. But if I were to become disabled, I get X amount of money every month, guaranteed, from Northwestern Mutual. So, and then I have this is kind of getting out there. I have a couple of IULs. My wife has one. I have one. It's indexed universal life. They're a type of whole life policies to where there's a threshold that you cannot lose money, but there's also a ceiling. I think the ceiling is like 10-12%. So very, very rarely are you going to make 10 to 12%. The market does get really good and you can make that, but the IULs are really safe. They're more of like a savings account. Okay, and that's also like something you can get to if you need to. But we're kind of using these different types of tools for midlife and retirement. So the way I see life financially is you have your now bucket, your checking account, your savings account. That's paying for your bills now. That's paying, for any emergencies. You should be saving money for emergencies. You have your midlife bucket, which that's what I'm using the whole life policies for. and I can close those out anytime. So I'm paying into that. Also get the death benefit, and then at the end of life, when I retire, obviously I'll draw Social Security, and then I have my traditional and my Roth IRAs that I pay into every month. A portion of my paycheck goes into these Roth IRAs, or the traditional and the Roth, and those are my end of life buckets. Okay, and it's all manageable yourself. Okay, all these big corporations do is they find these big companies and they handle, they have some kind of agreement based on how many employees they have, and they just manage. You're essentially eliminating the company you're working for and just going directly to them yourself to manage it. It's all doable. Health insurance, I use Blue Cross and Blue Shield. My business partner and I, we have a group policy. We run it through our S Corp, and we get discounted rates, and the company pays for our premiums in full. So the company pays for our health insurance, and we have a primary and secondary insurance. Simple as making a call saying, hey, I have a formation here of an LLC, an S Corp, I need health insurance. This is how many kids I have. Here's my wife's information. Here's their social security numbers. They give you a rate. You're set up on health insurance. So I think Blue Cross and Blue Shield's a good one. There's a bunch of different ones out there. Or you can, call the Obamacare, which is the something Affordable Cares Act, I believe. And you can have an agent shop the market for you. If you make a certain amount of money, maybe you can get some money from the government to help you out, to find the right plan for you, essentially. And I like Blue Cross and Blue Shield because they have like a silver, a bronze, different packages that's a good fit for you and your family based on how much you make and what's best for you guys, right? So I say all this to say, like, managing these things that you're used to your company that you work for to manage, it's all doable, guys. It is all very, very doable, but you have to be disciplined in, putting money into those accounts, right? You want to be able to fund your Roth IRA, which that's essentially what you were doing at your corporate job. They opted you into taking, 5 or 6% out of your check, or however much it is, and a lot of companies match it. Okay, that's one good thing about working for a corporation is they're willing to match it. But the returns you get on Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs compared to a 401k, in my opinion, is really good. Like, mine are getting 8 to 9% a year. If you want to just take some of your money and just tie it to the market and not have it stuck in an account for 30 years until you retire, mutual funds are a great way to go. I think mutual funds, you get anywhere from a 5 to 6% return, and you get your money out when you want. CDs are good, but just don't let your money sit there in a right now account, a checking account, savings account, and then at the end of your life you're like, I don't have any money. Okay, a lot of people do that. The sooner you can get some kind of retirement going, the better off you're going to be at the end of your life, and it's all doable, guys. You guys who are your own boss, you run your own business, you left the corporate world, and you have a 401k, you can do a 1035 exchange and exchange it and put it into some kind of retirement account. Again, the Roth IRA is the way to go. You can do a 1035 exchange. So when you find an agent who you trust, they'll be able to handle all that for you, and then you can set up an account. Again, Northwestern Mutual, top notch. I used to work for them for about 3 months. That's how I know all this stuff. Plus, I have 2 degrees in college, so I did learn a little bit of something along the way. But you got to have somewhere to put your money, so one day you can retire. And I do enjoy the whole life policies, which, like I said, is my midlife bucket. When my kids turn 15, 16 years old, I plan on cashing that money out to have money for cars, college, to cover those things. And this is all strategic. You gotta be thinking about now, your midlife, and the end of your life. And you can do it on your own, guys. And just do a little bit of research. And I hope this video kind of gives you some kind of idea about retirement and health insurance. So, and this is not the insurance I'm talking about with your business. Like, you have to see your business as something completely different than you, right? So I'm talking about your personal insurances, right? Your life insurance, your disability insurance, your retirement accounts, your checking accounts, all those things you can manage yourself, okay? Don't be scared to do it. It's doable. I've been doing it since 2019, and it was not near as hard as I thought it would be. Scott Lett, Iron City Power Washing.